Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to webinar S Crop Corners, Series 29. The webinar will begin shortly. Before we start the session, kindly pay attention to the following webinar guidelines. First, please keep your microphone muted during the webinar session. Participants are encouraged to use the official webinar virtual background. Third, please fill in the attendance form provided by the committee. Fourth, questions may be submitted through the Zoom chat box during the discussion session or use the raise hand feature. Thank you for your cooperation and attention. Good morning and good evening to our distinguished speaker, Dr. Andres Kinke, who is joining us from Uruguay. Thank you for being with us today. The Honorable Chair of the Research Organization for Agriculture and Food BRIN, Dr. Puji Lestari, distinguished Head of the Research Center for Estate Crops BRIN, Dr. Setiari Marwanto, our distinguished speakers, Dr. Andres Quinque, Principal Researcher, National Institute of Agricultural Research, Uruguay, Dr. Rahmah Dewi Yustika, Senior Researcher at Research Center for Estate Crops BRIN, and our moderator, Professor Dr. Fahmuddin Agus, Senior Researcher at Research Center for Estate Crops BRIN. And all participants and colleagues, thank you very much for your presence. Welcome to webinar S Crop Corner Series 29, entitled Innovative Soil Erosion Control Technologies for Sustainable Agriculture and Plantation Systems, Lesson Learned from Uruguay and Indonesia toward International Research Collaboration, organized by the Research Center for Estate Crops Research Organization for Agriculture and Food National Research and Innovation Agency, BRIN. On behalf of the organizing committee, we warmly welcome all participants joining us today, and we hope today's webinar will exchange scientific knowledge and experiences on sustainable soil conservation technologies. Ladies and gentlemen, to officially open today's webinar, may we kindly invite Dr. Puji Lestari, Chair of the Research Organization for Agriculture and Food BRIN, to deliver the opening remarks. To Dr. Puji, time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good morning, everyone. The Excellency, the Head of Research Center for Estate Crops, Dr. Setiari Marwanto. Thank you, Pak Ari, for being good and high commitment of the Research Center, especially how to improve the knowledge and also how to strengthen the collaboration between the estate crops research center, not only international, also in the international level, especially with Uruguay. Also, I would like to thank to the distinguished speakers from the National Institute of Agricultural Research Uruguay, Dr. Andres Quink. Thank you for being with us. And I hope you're sharing of their experience and knowledge could be beneficial for us, especially how we could initiate the collaboration between your institution and our institution. And Dr. Rahmah Dewi Yustika, thank you. You are from the ROA, Crops Research Center, also for Professor Fahmuddin Agus to moderate this webinar, and all of the participants, colleagues, national also international level, especially from Uruguay. Yeah, first let's pray to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala that today still we have good health and opportunity to join this is EST Crops Corner Series 29, and theme today is about innovative soil erosion control technologies for sustainable agriculture and plantation system. especially lesson learned from Uruguay and Indonesia toward international research collaboration. Thank you, Pari. After this first implementation of our MOU was signed on 28 March this year in Tentang BRIN, Jakarta. And even in that event, the Uruguay embassy also was with us. And today actually is a good moment, of course, and how important this theme, the discussion about this issue that will be discussed, especially nowadays as a tropical country characterized by high rainfall and diverse landscape. Indonesia faces a substantial risk of erosion, particularly in plantation areas situated on undulating to hilly terrains. Very strategic plantation commodities such as oil palm, coffee, cocoa, tea, sugarcane, and other estate crops. And as information, many of these are strategic commodity in Indonesia are very struggling to be increased or sustained for to be the with the high economic aspect, especially like oil palm, coffee, cocoa, sugarcane, and we do heavily rely on high soil quality to maintain long-term productivity. Of course, how else this is our challenge that we should do development and implementation of erosion control technologies that have become crucial aspect to save the sustainability of plantation production system. On the other hand, Uruguay is recognized as a country that has successfully developed a comprehensive scientific and technological approach to soil management, which now serves as the foundation for its national soil conservation policies. The government of Uruguay has implemented an erosion risk-based land use planning system supported by long-term research finding, spatial modeling monitoring systems, and regulation that mandates soil conservation practices within the agricultural sector. This experience, of course, serves as an important benchmark for how research outcomes can be transformed into effective, wide-reaching public policies. So, ladies and gentlemen, I will not talk long. So, as part of this effort, even today, this discussion with the issue that come up from of course, the discussion in the previous past, and then also today the webinar. This is Center for Estate Crops, BRIN, and the Commission for Agriculture and Food. Try to organize this webinar and how we could get the more clear or that kind of promising even collaboration in the future, how this featuring soil erosion control expert from Uruguay and Indonesia can be strengthened based on this discussion. And this event also expected to serve as a forum for knowledge exchange and the identification of technology development opportunities. And as an initial step, thank you, Pak Ari, for this collaboration. And actually, we already sent some of the project cases to Uruguay, but I hope, but this is not included yet. So also the output of this discussion, especially a specific topic from this webinar, can be included. That can be also submitted as a part of the future collaboration between ruang and the state from Uruguay, especially from the National Institute of Agricultural Research, Uruguay. So yeah, this is all for me. And again, please have a discussion, and please have to have more understanding and learn from Uruguay experience and how so between two parties identify together the technology gaps between the two countries, or to develop opportunity for the collaboration, not only on research, but also for the capacity build, also reflected today in the webinar, and also to promote how the development of science-based technologies and policy can support the sustainability of Indonesia's plantation sector. Okay, to open officially this webinar, okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Everyone has a good health and have a productive discussion. I apologize, I could not join because I have other agenda. And thank you again, Pak Aribo, and the organizer, speakers, all of the participants from Indonesia and Uruguay. Yeah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Puji, for the inspiring remarks. Next is welcome remarks from Head of Research Center for Estate Crops BRIN to Dr. Setiari Marwanto. Time is yours.
Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning here and good evening in Uruguay. The chairman of Research Organization for Agriculture and Food BRIN, distinguished speakers, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Scrub Corner 29. It is a great pleasure to welcome all of you to this important forum where experts, researchers, policymakers, and practitioners came together to exchange knowledge and experiences on one of the most pressing challenges in sustainable agriculture, soil erosion issues. As widely known that healthy soils are the foundation of food security, environmentally sustainability, and resilient agricultural system, as climate change and land degradation continue to intensify, innovative and science-based soil conservation technologies have become increasingly essential. Uruguay and Indonesia, despite their different landscape and agricultural systems, share common goals in protecting soil resources while improving productivity. My highest appreciation I send to two speakers today, Dr. Andres Quinqui from National Institute of Agricultural Research, Uruguay, and secondly is Dr. Rahma Dewi Yustika from Research Center for Estate Crops BRIN. Thank you also for Professor Fahmuddin Agus as moderator, all committee and attendee. I'm very happy to have you all. I hope today's discussion will strengthen scientific partnership, inspire innovative solutions, and pave the way for impactful international research collaborations. Thank you, and I wish you a productive and inspiring seminar. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Dr. Setiari Marwanto. Ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed to the presentation and discussion session, we will first have a virtual group photo session. We kindly invite all speakers, moderator, and participants to turn on their cameras for the documentation session. Please look at the camera and smile. I will start count from first slide. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Second slide. 1, 2, 3. Next slide. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin today's scientific session, it is my pleasure to introduce our moderator for today, Professor Fahmuddin Agus. Is a senior soil scientific at the National Scientist at the National Research and Innovation Agency BRIN. He earned his PhD from North Carolina State University, USA. He is actively involved in national and international fora on soil management and climate change, including serving as a member of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or IPCC, Task Force on GHG inventories during the 6th assessment period. His publication span topics such as soil management, yield gap analysis, and peat soil management. Okay, to Professor Fahmuddin Agus, time is yours.
Thank you very much, Uchi. It's my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Andres Quinqui. He's the principal investigator at the National Institute of Agricultural Research of Uruguay, INIA. His research focuses on generating applied knowledge for the sustainable management and conservation of soils and water resources. He has collaborated with national and international institutions to advance science-based strategies for soil conservation and sustainable agriculture, with research that strengthens land management practices to enhance the resilience and sustainability of agroecosystems. He has published numerous papers on soil and water conservation. Without further ado, I give the floor to Dr. Andres Quinque, please.
Good morning to everyone, and thank you very much for the introducing remarks and for the moderators' talks. And I will start by sharing my my window. Let's see if I can do this quickly. Come on. Good. I hope it is set up. I hope you will let me know if you don't see yet or if you don't hear yet. But otherwise, I will be starting. So thank you again, and especially to Dr. Prasetyo, who is the person within BRIN Institute that contacted me and gave me the invitation for this talk and this participation in this seminar. So I'm going to talk about soil erosion control technologies and policy implementation in Uruguay, and I will want to show how in Uruguay researchers and research capacities and have done the path from research to a national regulation. And I am sorry that I was not able to put my background behind me for the seminar, as Prasetyo sent me previously, but now I am trying to include in the first cover slide the seminar background. Yeah. So Uruguay, we are a small country and we have our neighbors to the north, which is Brazil, and let's see if we have our big neighbors to the north, which is Brazil, and our other second neighbor to the west, which is Argentina. And this is our country, a relatively flat, only with rolling hills country. And our climate has annual rainfall of about 1,200 millimeters with high variability between years and also a high variability within years. The rainfall distribution within the year is highly variable. So as I said, we have mainly rolling plains and low hills, and our soils are to a good extent mollisoils and vertisoils, but also some other types of soils are present. And what is the land use of Uruguay? I think this is also of a certain relevance, so that you know what type of agricultural production we have in Uruguay. We do have less than a 10% of our field crops, which are a number of cereal crops and oilseed crops, which we can grow in 2 growing seasons in the year, so that we have our winter crops such as wheat and barley and raps. And we have also a summer season, and there we grow, for instance, maize and soybeans. And there is to the east an important region that is specialized for rice production with high yield achieving production systems that cover only 2% of the surface. Then we have forest plantations, less than a 10% as well. And then the great rest of the country is for pastures. And we have beef cattle, dairy production, and also sheep, all basically grazed systems. And then we have a surface that is distributed among fruit and vegetable production and wine as well. So we are essentially a pasture-based livestock country where we have also increasing field crops and forest production. Now, soil erosion is the main threat for sustainable production in Uruguay, as it is for many other countries in the world. These are erosion gullies that were produced many decades ago, but the previous slides were more recent. And now I want to go into what is the history of our science developments in the field of soil erosion. We have on our experimental station where I work at La Estanzuela, which is the picture on the right, we have these runoff plots that were established back in 1980. And by that time, it were a total of 3 of these experimental sites with these classical Wishmeyer runoff plots. And from then on, it was about 16 years of data with about 370 erosive storms that were captured and allowed for generating information on sediment yields, which is a measure of soil erosion in these runoff plots. So with this information, then and the capacities and experimental work on soils and climate, it was possible to develop the universal soil loss equation model to estimate soil erosion and then so as to predict soil erosion, annual soil erosion rate. And one of the pieces of information that was necessary for the universal soil loss equation is the R factor, which is the erosivity from the rain. So with climatic records on rainfall intensity, it was then possible to develop a map of iso-erodents initially on erodibility, and was then revised later by more recent work. And after these 18 years of soil erosion measuring, it was then possible to establish a relationship between mean annual soil erosion and estimated by the universal soil loss equation annual soil erosion. And the scientists were able to fit a very reasonable relationship between the two so as to have confidence on the model estimates. And later, with this information and the factor estimates established, it was then possible to have a calibrated, a locally calibrated soil erosion model which is obviously computer-based and can then be operated by agronomists, by certified agronomists that will then use this tool to plan soil use and management systems and practices. So here they will be able then to go into location to find the correct R factor, a spot where you can insert the slope gradient and the length of the slope factors, and the different factors that make the equation to work. So this was a little short, I have to admit, but it is for the sake of time that I opted to give this in a very quick manner. But I wanted also to spend some time in how the science-based capacity of estimating erosion loss then developed into a soil conservation policy in Uruguay. And so it was back in 1968 and later with slight modifications that a law on soil conservation was established in Uruguay, was passed in the parliament, and defined that it was of national interest to promote and regulate the use and conservation of soils and surface waters. So from that, it gave it established the basic guidelines and objectives behind the law and what had to be done from the government to continue in implementing the policy. But it was not until 2004 that finally the basic technical principles and directives were approved by the ministry, and then for instance in 2008 it was established what a list of practices that would be prohibited or banned, that were non-complying practices and would then be subject to penalties. So, and then there was a period of time where the policymakers were targeting to have this law being established by implementing this concept of responsible soil use and management plan, which would be mandatory and should be established by each individual's property. And so before 2012, there was a period of time with training and discussing both with agronomists and consultants, as well as with farmers and landowners. So by then, it was then made compulsory, mandatory, that farmers had to issue this responsible soil use and management plan for their properties. And along with this, there was then also developed a manual or a handbook from the ministry for for agronomists to then be certified and trained to make this professional work. And then later, finally, it was clarified and specified which properties would require then one of these responsible soil use and management plan. And as I said before, we have about 10% of our area under oil, seed, and cereal production systems, and these are the main production systems that were the target of this policy and these soil management plans, because those are and were by then that place the highest risk for soil erosion due to the size of the property and the size of the fields and the intensity of the production. And so quickly back to this one. So nowadays the mandatory responsible soil use management plan applies to this sector, these cereal and oilseed farmers or field crops systems, and also it applies to the rice systems, the rice production fields that do all irrigation, and it also applies to small sector within the dairy industry, specifically those dairy farms that are located within a basin that serves for the water supply of our most important city, which is Montevideo. So within this basin of the Santa Lucia River, dairy farmers have to issue also one of these responsible soil use and management plan. So which are the current basic practices for soil management and conservation that are in use in our farming systems? First of all, they will mostly do a no-tillage cropping system, which is not only avoiding the seedbed preparation with mechanical tools, but also it is, more importantly perhaps, the second issue of leaving the crop residues on the soil surface to protect then the soil from soil erosion. Then a third basic practice is the crop rotation that may or may not be with pastures, but as I said, between the winter and the summer crops, they can be arranged so as to have a short fallow period between crops and have the soil covered by growing crops most part of the year. And only if needed, then they will have to have also cover crops. Finally, this option of having terraces in the field is a practice that is increasing slowly, but has not reached an important amount of area yet in our conditions. But also it will be required that the farmers leave the drainage ways grassed, protected with perennial permanent grass. And they also have to avoid the slope-oriented machinery tracks. This last one is a very difficult one. I think it is often somehow overlooked by farmers and operators. It is not easy with relatively big machinery and often with rented machinery services. But in essence, they should also look at this practice. And same for the grass drainage ways, honestly speaking. It is often observed correctly, leaving the grass drainage ways on the field, but often and probably also when the land is rented, then the producer may want to have the most of the rented area and also have the drainage ways cropped. So I see that I am now on time. I wanted to spend a little bit of time on new approaches for soil erosion studies. So I will give a very quick mention that nowadays, speaking of terraces, here we have a terrace that is equipped with a flume where we could then monitor the flow of water that comes from the field. And if we also equip that flume with a water sampler, we then can be able to have estimates of runoff and of sediment load and losses of sediments as well as of nutrients. And this is then an approach that has benefits compared with the relatively small Wishmeyer plots, just because of the scalability, the size of the fields under study. So this is here an example of the monitoring of the flow in this site that we are still equipping. And then we have also a project on soil erosion, but based on this radioisotopic technique, which is the cesium. So the cesium has been deposited naturally after the nuclear trials back in the 60s, more or less. And we are now being able to trace the sediments by analyzing this element, this radioactive element. So we have this long-term experiment in our experimental station, and we have then been looking into the details of the losses and accumulation of sediments in the different plots that were subject to different management practices. So at the end, after doing the sampling by strata and analyzing for cesium, and then doing the modeling of the information, it was then possible to come up with estimates of soil erosion based on cesium 137, and it was possible to compare it against our estimates of soil erosion using the universal soil loss equation, because these long-term experiments have good information about soil land use. So this is also a way of then validating again the soil loss equation model. So with this, the main references that could be of interest for people who want to go deeper. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anders Krinke. I would like to check if there is hand raise or the chat. I see here a question from Miftah. What are the main challenges in implementing soil conservation policies among farmers in Uruguay? And the second question, what was the regulation in implementation of soil erosion control in Uruguay, whether it faced obstacles, but similar questions such as resistance from farmers. If so, what's the main complaints, whether it's a cost or what? I'll continue with this third one, and then you can answer.
Yeah.
What is the sanctions? So it's about sanction, maybe whether it's voluntary or it's mandatory. And erosion data had been collected for 16 years. Was the long-term experiment conducted in one site or in many sites? So you can choose which one you would like to address first.
Okay, and please, Dr. Famuddin Agus, help me to remember if I forget any of these questions. But one question is about the fines. So the sanctions, yes, the sanctions. So the ministry has been tracking how the farmers have complied with the soil management plan, and then there have been two types of sanctions, or two types of cases that where yes, the farm operations are subject to sanctions. One of them is if the property or the owner or the farmer did not issue the responsible soil use and management plan at all, and that has been about less than 10%, about 5% of cases where the owner or the user of the farm did not even issue the plan. And then the other type of non-complying is when there was a plan issued, but then it was not followed according to the plan. So these types of failures have been observed, and in both cases they are then subject to fines. So they have to at the end pay a fine that may be relatively not too high, or it may reach a high amount of money, depending on the situation that then the professionals in the ministry will evaluate. So it is basically a matter of applying fines, and then I think there was a question about the duration of these experiments. So I did mention basically these three sites with the Wishmeyer runoff plots that were established in three different locations in the country. One of them in the research center that I work on, and two other representing different soils at the end and different climate or rainfall. And so these the only ones that still continue in operation are the ones that are in my site at La Estanzuela. The other ones were closed after a certain point. But in total, as I said, it was this number of years in operation to obtain then this database for validating or developing the universal soil equation model. And then I did mention a second type of experiment that is not directly targeted at soil erosion, but more just comparing soil management practices for the performance of the crops and for the impact on soil properties. And this is a long-term soil management site which is in operation since 1963. So it is what we call our old rotation experiment, because it compares 7 different types of land use intensity with crop pasture rotations and also with only crop rotations. And it is in this site that we implemented then the study with the cesium.
I think I can summarize the rest of questions. Yeah, and I would like to have a little bit of illustration from one of your presentation, from your graph. You demonstrate that there are occasions where the soil loss exceeds 20 tons annually. The question is, what are the hotspots, and what are among the most effective soil conservation measures to deal with those?
Yes. So sorry. I think you mentioned the question about a situation with a very high yield of sediments or a high rate of erosion, right?
Yes, correct.
Was that the question?
Yes.
Yes. So the situations where this happens is basically in soils that are managed with conventional tillage and with a relatively long period of seedbed preparation, where the soil is left bare for months. This used to happen in our conventional farming systems because with this method it was required that the seedbed was prepared with primary tillage, secondary tillage, and so on. And then if the crops do fail in addition, because maybe you are not following the crop management practices in order to have fast growing and fast covering crops, then you additionally put into high risk of erosion. So at the plot level, the management practices that led to this high erosion rate was essentially continuous cropping systems with conventional tillage and with a long period of fallow, which is the time after you finish one crop and start the next one. And in addition, in our long-term experiment, we had these plots that were managed with this crop rotation, and we did intentionally not apply fertilizers at this experiment. And because the crops do not grow and produce enough biomass and do not cover enough the soil, at the end it makes the erosion the worst.
Yeah, I think
So
there are, yeah,
yeah,
there are lots of,
I do see the questions on the screen. So if you want me to try to go through them,
yeah, okay, you can have
I
2 or
will be
3 more
more than
minutes, yeah.
welcome. So
I guess you've answered most, but the number, there are some of the similarity with the previous questions. Could you go to the next slide, please? Slide number 3, yeah. Yeah, click that one. So this density about the updating of the USLE. And then the next one is, yeah, you have mentioned some of this before.
okay.
So
Yeah, there are good questions. So for instance, question number 7, what are the policies for highland and mountain grazing in Uruguay, especially for conserving soil and soil fertility and sustainable grazing management? So we do not have really mountains, but we have extensive areas that are very well suited for grazing, but not very well suited for arable crops. So there we have our native grasslands, and there are not really regulations for soil conservation on these situations. The farmers just apply this beef and sheep cattle systems that are based on continuous grazing, and I think it is so low intensification system that the native grassland, which is perennial, will in most cases be enough for a reasonable soil erosion control. But I agree that there can be specific situations with overgrazing, for instance, and that would be then very damaging. But often the farmers know how to manage their grasslands so as to ensure a reasonable cover and stand of the sward or of the pasture.
is there any more new question? There is no more question in slide number 4, yeah. Yeah, so one of the questions that may not have been answered yet, what are the main challenges in implementation of this soil conservation measure?
Good. Yes, very good. Well, so basically there was fortunately a very good response by the farmers and the crop advisors and consultants to adopt this regulation. So there is the challenge that there is still a minor area that has not adopted this regulation and this mandatory plan. So there is the challenge of addressing them properly, and then I think a second challenge is not so much that the farmers and landowners develop a reasonable plan with a rotation and soil conservation practices. But to my opinion, one of the issues is the management that has to be applied not within the crop field, but in the rest of the land of a property. So there are these waterways and the buffer zones and some other areas that are not under production, but are part of the landscape. And these also have to be addressed. And I think there is a big opportunity for further improving the conservation practices. And I did mention these two issues, which is the leaving the waterways grassed, and also controlling the tracks of the wheel tracks of the machinery. There, I think there is an important opportunity to further improve, and in fact, it is also required by the law, but somehow it is not a subject of control too much. But I think those are the bigger challenges. And then it will be necessary that, yes, two more things I would like to mention. One is that, as I said, only a part of our dairy production land is subject to this regulation, and it will be necessary, to my opinion, that the rest of the dairy production systems is also a target of this policy. And that will require, of course, not only reducing soil erosion, but it will also require managing the nutrients and making sure that the yield of nutrients, not so much sediments, but not so much the sediments only, but the nutrients as well, and especially phosphorus, those have to be a target in the regulation of soil management. And then the second challenge that I want to mention is the irrigated systems in our arable land, which is increasing, and it is done basically with central pivot irrigation systems. So those have a heavy load on the roads, and these do cause relatively deep tracks in the field within the growing season. So often, of course, they will be at some point with the slope of the field. So there is a threat to soil erosion because of this irrigation system. So there will be a need to further find a way of improving soil conservation, probably at very located spots within the field, but it will be a challenge anyway. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Andres Quinte. It has been very eye-opening, and we understand the main agricultural system in Uruguay, quite a bit different from what we have. We have perennial
Yes.
crops and paddy system, the flooded rice. And I don't know whether in your case it's dry land, rice or paddy. But of course, there are similarities in terms of the challenge of controlling erosion. So
Yes.
we thank you very much for spending your time, and also we understand that it's been very late in the evening for you, about 11 p.m. So as a token of appreciation, we would like to present a certificate of appreciation for you on the screen. Yeah, so thank you very much, and
Yes.
it's very nice to have you with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much as well. Thank you very much.
Okay. Our second speaker is Dr. Ramadevi Yustika. She is a researcher with expertise in soil, water, and climate management at the Research Center for Estate Crops, BRIN. She is also the chair of the research group on soil and environmental management.
Yeah.
Her PhD degree was on
Iya.
bioenvironmental
Sorry.
science
Saya masih di itu.
from Tottori University, Japan. Without further ado, the floor is yours, Dr. Rahma.
Thank you very much, Prof. Fahmuddin Agus. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning for Bapak Ibu partisipan in Indonesia, and also good evening for Dr. Andres Quinque in Uruguay. My name is Rama Dewi Yustika, and I will present a topic with title Strategies and Innovation for Soil Erosion Control in Indonesian Agricultural System. This presentation is divided into several sections. First, I will introduce about land resource in Indonesia and soil erosion in Indonesia. And second, I will discuss about factors contributing to high erosion rates in Indonesia, which is I will discuss more deeper in the natural and anthropogenic process. And then we'll discuss about conservation technology innovation, such as engineering, vegetative, and amelioran soil conservation technique. And the last, I will discuss about the strategies. Indonesia land resource has area around 191.1 million hectare that consists of wetland, which has area 43.6 million hectare, dry land 144.5 million hectare, and others around 3.1 million hectare. The agricultural potential is around 95.90 million hectare, or around 50%. The potential dry land for agriculture here consists in the lowland dry land in humid climate, lowland dry land in dry climate, highland dry land in humid climate, and the last in highland dry land in dry climate. And mostly the dry land for agriculture located in lowland dry land in humid climate, which is around 70,000 hectares. This is the distribution of dry land in Indonesia. We can see here that mostly in the western part of Indonesia, in Kalimantan Island, Sumatra, and West Java, in average has agricultural land has higher agricultural land area than the eastern part of Indonesia. The distribution of dry land here is very important because elevation affect temperature, rainfall, cropping system, soil development, and the risk of erosion. This is the soil type land distribution. So if we can see this line, we can see here that the western part of Indonesia has humid climate with acidic parent materials. And in the left side here, or in the western Indonesia, has dry climate alkaline parent material. So in humid climate here usually has a high precipitation, which therefore make the weathering process is more intense, with calcium, magnesium, potassium will be leaching to the soil profile and then make the soil has acidic properties. In the humid climate here, mostly the dominant soil type antisol and oxisol, ultisol and oxisol, while in the dry climate, the dominant soil is insectisol. This is with the green color is insectisol. Soil erosion in the agriculture sector is can lead to the land degradation, and erosion is one of the threat to the land degradation because there is a process here. So erosion is the process of detach, transport, and relocate soil particle from their original location to another place by natural forces, particularly water and wind. And mostly in tropical area like Indonesia, the natural forces is water from precipitation. The erosion process can also be accelerated by human activities. This is the soil erosion process, which raindrop hit the soil and splash, and soil particles detach, and there is transportation of soil particles by surface runoff to the downstream. Soil erosion is natural process, yes, but however, the land use change, inappropriate soil management, reduced vegetation cover, and agricultural activities on sloping land can increase the erosion rate beyond the natural rate of soil formation. And land degradation can occur in the two locations, in the on-site effect and in the offset effects where the eroded soil is deposited. This slide illustrate the soil erosion in the agricultural land, with inappropriate land management and intensive annual cropping on sloping land can increase soil erosion. So Indonesia have many mountains, so it's different with the Uruguay that maybe mostly plain area, but Indonesia maybe more than 70% has slope more than 3%. This is the type of soil erosion. First is seed erosion that happen when the uniform removal of a thin layer of topsoil, and then the second type of soil erosion is real erosion that happen when the removal of soil by concentrate runoff, forming small shallow channel that usually be removed by normal tillage. The next is gully erosion. This is the more severe erosion, which creates deep and wide channel that cannot be repaired by ordinary tillage. And the last is a landslide. This is the rapid movement of the soil, rock, debris that triggered by heavy rainfall, steep slope in the saturated soil, and the soil has impermeable layer. This is the effect of soil erosion, that decline in soil fertility, reduce crop productivity. There will be soil physical degradation also after soil erosion, and also the effect of soil erosion in the sediment of there will be sedimentation in water bodies, and deterioration of water quality, loss of soil carbon, and ecosystem degradation. So the key message here that soil erosion reduces the capacity of soil to support crop production, water body, store carbon, and maintain ecosystem services. In this picture, we can see in the upper area here, actually this is mountain actually, but I took picture in the top of the mountain in this upper area. We see that the upper area has bright color. This is because of the organic matter that usually have black color is transport to the downslope area. So we can see usually in the height area has many organic matter, but it have a leaching also, and transport by surface runoff. Soil and water conservation issue. So there are unsustainable agriculture practice because agriculture cultivation on slope steeper than 15%, and also there are farming activity without soil and water conservation measure. Conservation practice have not yet become common among farmers, and the socio-economic constraints such as land fragmentation, population pressure, and limited financial capacity. And for the next slide, I will discuss about the factors contributing to high erosion rates in Indonesia. From the natural factors is a rainfall pattern. We can see from the land area 191.1 million hectare. The 23.1% of area in Indonesia has precipitation more than 3,500 millimeter per year, and 59.7% area in Indonesia has precipitation around 2,000 until 3,500 millimeter per year, and as many as 17% area in Indonesia has precipitation less than 2,000 millimeter per year. Besides, the 70% of Indonesia land has slope more than 3%. With this condition leading to the high risk of erosion in Indonesia. Other factors also is soil erodibility. Soil erodibility refers to the susceptibility of soil particles and aggregates to detach and transport. If we see here that parent material of volcanic tuff has a lower erodibility than the parent materials. So the soil properties influence the soil erodibility. The factor like organic matter, permeability, texture influence the soil erodibility factor. If we see in the table 2 soil erosion in Sumberjaya Subdistrict Lampung, so actually these 3 locations is near location Bodong, Tepus, and Laksana, which these 3 location has similar more or less altitude, slope, and precipitation, but the erosion in the Bodong is very high, reach until 37.21 ton per hectare. This is because the soil properties of in Bodong has low permeability, therefore the erosion is very high compared to the other locations. The anthropogenic factors such as deforestation and land use change could proceed the erosion rate, and then intensive and inappropriate tillage, cultivation on steep slope without conservation measure, and use of heavy masonry. Use of heavy masonry, this is will compact the soil and reduce porosity and infiltration, and it will also promote the runoff generation. Next, I will discuss about the innovation of soil conservation to reduce soil erosion. To reduce soil erosion, first we apply engineering soil conservation such as terraces. This is usually applied in sloping area, and the function of terrace here is to reduce the velocity and erosive energy of surface runoff. And the second is to collect and convey surface runoff at a non-erosive flow velocity, and to enhance water infiltration into the soil profile. In this terrace also engineering soil conservation practice, we can see there is also grass in the terrace wall, which it has function to strengthen the terrace. The others engineering soil conservation is pits. This is the example of pits that adopt in the agroforestry. In the upper is the picture of a sample of pit in the agroforestry coffee system. The function of pits is to reduce the velocity and erosive force of surface runoff and temporarily retain runoff water and promote its infiltration into the soil profile. And next, to trap and retain the sediment transported from cultivated fields, therefore reducing soil loss, and to maintain soil moisture. Second, the vegetative conservation techniques. This is the alley cropping. Alley cropping involves planting annual crops between a row of hedgerow plants, such as the hedgerow plants such as Flaminia congenita and Clyricidae sepium. So the hedgerow here can reduce the runoff velocity and trap sediment, and also can provide organic material. This is the grass strip soil conservation techniques. The grass strip planted across the slope to slow surface runoff and capture eroded soil profile, soil particles, and the dense root system of the grass can stabilize the soil and improve water infiltration. This technique, grass strip system, is low budget, so farmer can easily to apply in their field, and it's simple and simple and require less investment than permanent engineering structures. The others vegetation conservation techniques is planting plants along the contour. This practice can reduce runoff velocity and increase infiltration. Next is agroforestry system. So agroforestry system integrates trees or perennial plants with annual crop. This picture here is agroforestry coffee system with orange tree, and this is agroforestry coffee system with orange tree and also chili vegetable, chili, and this is the agroforestry banana with coconut tree. The tree in the agroforestry system, the tree, their canopy can reduce the direct impact of rainfall, while the root improve soil stability and water infiltration. Agroforestry can also provide economic benefit through diversification of product and more stable farm income. The others of vegetative conservation measure is a cover crop. This is a picture of grown cover plants, mucuna. This is Arachis pintoi, and also application of mulch. This cover crop protect the soil surface from direct raindrop impact and reduce the formation of surface runoff. Organic mulch here can reduce evaporation, moderate soil temperature, and provide additional organic matter. The other soil conservation is application of soil ameliorant by using biochar. So we use biochar from agriculture waste, and the source of biochar such as rice husk, coconut and palm cell, and cocoa pods. The function of soil ameliorant of biochar here is to reduce soil bulk density, increase total porosity, improve soil aggregation, increase water holding capacity, improve soil aeration and root penetration, and also support microbial communities. The others of ameliorant compost and organic manure, which can supplying plant nutrient, increase soil organic matter, improving soil physical properties, which improve the bulk density, and also increase water holding capacity. For other innovation is soil erosion application developed in Indonesia. We also conduct the pot measurement to measure the soil erosion, but I'm sorry, I don't present here. I present the application that developed in Indonesia. So Soil Research Institute developed desktop application that can measure predict the soil erosion. And then the final version is Soil Agri DSS. The name changed to Soil Agri Decision Support System, which we can predict based on the spatial point, based on the spatial area. So Dr. Setiari Marwanto, the director of Crop Research Center is the leading team in building this application, and I also as a member of the team building this application. But this application not continue because we moved to the BRIN. The application of the DSS also explored by Lampung University, IPB University, and also BRIN also Dr. Apip developed eco-hydro that can measure the erosion rate and sediment production. The strategy to reduce soil erosion. There is regulation of soil conservation in Indonesia that law of the number 37 of year 2014 about soil and water conservation, which this law established a comprehensive legal framework for protecting, restoring, improving, and maintaining soil function to support sustainable development and watershed sustainability. This is the recommended proportion of annual and perennial crops on different land slope category. So for slope that less than 15%, the combination perennial is 25% and annual 75%. For slope with has slope around 15 until 30%, the combination is perennial 50% and annual 50%, so 50-50%. For slope that has 30 until 45%, the perennial has more portions, 75%, and annual has less portion, 25%. And for slope that has more than 45%, it should be applied with planting with the perennial 100%. Soil and water conservation implementing strategies. So first, that we have to increase public awareness of the importance of agriculture with its multifunctionality, strengthen the extension institution, especially concerning about land conservation, law enforcement in agriculture and land conservation, and intensive advocacy that land conservation is a shared responsibility between farmers, landowners, local government, province government, and also other stakeholders. Thank you. I'm very welcome with a question, suggestion, and maybe have question. All of you maybe have question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yustika. So we have seen that there are quite a bit of difference between agricultural system in Indonesia compared to that in Uruguay. Although Dr. Yustika didn't really mention, but oil palm plantation is the main crop, and it's three crop. We have around 18 million hectares of oil palm plantation, and then rice. Planted rice is around 7.4 million hectares. And both rice and oil palm plantation in itself has the capacity to conserve water, to conserve the soil from erosion, because it has terraces and it has good canopy cover and so forth. I would like if Dr. Quinke has some comment, so I would like to give the first opportunity if you have some comment or question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to Yustika for your talk. You gave a lot of pictures, which is very nice, and you covered very well the different topics that are so related to soil erosion. And so I am glad that you did it, because I somehow overlooked this point. So thank you very much. I think you also covered nicely the different possible practices, and there's highly diverse soil and climate conditions. And I think you made a comment on this about what techniques you actually use to measure soil loss. Could you give us a quick view of the different methods that you are using or are in use by other groups, maybe?
Yes, I will answer your question, Dr. Andres. To measure soil erosion, we also use a soil pot measurement like you did and you explained in your presentation. We did it also. But the direct measurement is also costly, need more budget than prediction. So we also conduct soil prediction using USLE, and we also based on the USLE is based on the point, right? Point site, and we also use USLE equation in the spatial using GIS. So we use that use a GIS to predict the soil erosion in the watershed area. And start in the mid of 2006, we make application of a desktop soil prediction, which maybe I will share screen. Sorry. So this is the application that we make in the around 2006. We make a prediction of soil erosion. We use USLE equation, and we make until 3 version of the DSS, and the menu in this application, we can also give a suggested of soil conservation technique. So if the soil is very high, soil erosion is very high, we can give some suggestion what the suitable soil conservation technique that can be applied on that area. And the next version of the desktop, we use a spatial prediction. So we can, if we move the cursor here to the one spot, it's directly give the information of the soil erosion rate. So this application is open source, use Quantum JS, Q7, OpenJam, MapSource, Atlas, Tyler, like something like that. So we can use it, and it's very user friendly. So that's my explanation, doctor. So we first we conduct soil measurement in the plot scale, and we also conduct the prediction using a USLE The third, also we use the USLE in the GIS. Besides that, we also Indonesia, some researchers also measure the soil erosion using some software like SWOT, GIS, Web, and also for application DSS, we also built some application not just from Soil Research Institute, but also from Lampung University, IPB, and BRIN also developed DSS for soil erosion.
Yeah, thank you very much for the question, Dr. Kuenke, and also for the answer. And we have quite a few questions on the chat. The first one, why the adoption of soil conservation has been low in Indonesia? How can we improve it? I think in your answer you could divide the case of large-scale plantation and the small-scale farming, because they are very different.
Yes, yeah. The adoption of soil conservation technology, I think it's not low because in small farmer also adopt the soil conservation techniques in the Bali system, Subak, Bali have a terrace system in the sloping land, and also in some area also I'm sure that apply soil conservation techniques, but maybe I know that some of the farmers make a mistake in applying soil conservation techniques. But I think the adoption of soil conservation techniques now spread between small farmer, and especially in the large plantation, they really consider about adoption of soil conservation technique because it has influence on their crop productivity.
Okay, and there are similar questions from Nurfianto, but because they are similar, so I skipped to the next one, which is from Adib Hasanami from the Ministry of Agriculture. Why is the wind erosion is not considered, whether it is not important for Indonesia?
Masih kepake apanya, David? Extension hard disk-nya?
Yeah, so can
Yes.
you address this one?
Yeah. Indonesia is tropical country that has a high precipitation pattern. Some area is especially in the west area of Indonesia has precipitation more than 3,500 millimeter per year. So this is the main. It's not just in western part of Indonesia, but in Indonesia, the main factor forces of soil erosion is water. The wind erosion, the wind forces usually in the area that desert area in China, in the current in Sahara Desert, in Africa. So that's the difference of a tropical country and a subtropic country. So in tropical country, the main forces is water. Different with the sub countries that have desert, the wind is the factor to result soil erosion.
Yeah, thank you. And the next question is from Erwinda. She's asking whether the recent flash flood in Sumatra, especially in Aceh, North Sumatra, and West Sumatra last November 2025, was it natural or man-made?
So the disaster in the last year in Indonesia in the Sumatra area like Aceh, West Sumatra, and North Sumatra. I think it's both of this factor, natural and also anthropogenic factors. First, the land use change may be more intensive in the Sumatra because in Sumatra has high forest area that convert to other plantation. That's why the land use change can influence the soil erosion, and the factor of extreme of the rainfall can very influence the disaster. So heavy rains, can you imagine then the rainfall in a one happen in the just 3 days? So it's very extreme climate. That's why the disaster in the last year is both of the factor from natural and also anthropogenic factors.
Okay, we go to the next one, which is from Nur Asbani. Could you explain a little bit about the social and maybe economic dimension in soil conservation, not only the technical, especially, I guess, in the implementation?
Yes, when we applying the soil conservation technique, we should farmers, especially or the landowners, consider about the budget. So the financial limitation will also limit their preferable in choosing soil conservation technique. So usually if the in the area that not too severe soil erosion, farmers can apply grass strip which just need less budget than engineering soil conservation techniques such as terrace that more budget to build terrace. So the people or social dimension is very influence the preference of the when choosing the soil conservation technique, because the budget is also one of the factor when farmers decide which technique to apply soil conservation in their field.
Okay. Respond to mechanization. Oh yeah, it's about mechanization. So there is a more and more use of machinery because of the labor shortage. So what would it affect the erosion, whether it will make it worse, and how to deal with that?
One of the factors.
Yeah, heavy machinery use.
Yeah.
Whether it's effect.
So yeah, in large area to economize the human resource labor, we use heavy machinery to make a tillage before planting for the crops. But we have to consider that the heavy machine can break the soil aggregate, make the box density become increased, and also the machinery can make the infiltration become low. So what is this? What is the soil conservation to repair the condition? I think one of the things that we can do that is that application of the manure, application of the compost, and also biochar is the technique that you can adopt and apply to your land to fix, to improve, repair your physical soil properties.
Yeah, and Dr. Quinkel has also explained some of the technique in the in Uruguay is by using the contour tillage system. So that could also be adapted. And I guess there is one last question, whether erosion affects soil fertility, especially whether it affects crop yield. It's from from Ahmadi, from Ahmad Mulyadi. So whether crop yield is affected by soil erosion.
Yes, number, which number?
Number 15.
Number 15, okay. How does that? So, so of course, that soil erosion can impact maize, rice, and other crop, because when the field has soil erosion, it means that the nutrient from the topsoil that fertile and also have organic matter transport to the other area, and when the organic matter and also nutrient move to your land, of course it can reduce the crop productivity. And yes, and investment of soil conservation in long term, I think it's very good, because we should maintain our field, right? We should have to maintain our field to protect the nutrient, protect the organic matter, not to lose to other areas from leaching or by surface runoff. So it's very good to invest soil conservation in the long term.
Yeah, I see one other, I guess this is the last one because we are running out of time also. It's from Gagat, Mr. Gagat or Miss Gagat, I don't know, about the use of medicinal plants for erosion control. Maybe it's in relation to the Ali system or whatsoever. So can you comment about that?
Yes, I think it's very good that medicinal plants can for soil erosion conservation. So the other side, we can conserve our land, and the other side, we can get a benefit from medicinal plant, and we also can, maybe we can sell and get some income from the plant. So it's very good, I think.
Yeah, okay. So it's been very interesting to presentation and very insightful. And I also appreciate lots of questions, lots of enthusiasm from the audience. And a special thanks again for Dr. Anders Quinke, who stay with us until late at night. So muchas gracias.
More than welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, I wonder if there is also a token of appreciation for Dr. Rama. I believe so. So could you please present the certificate of appreciation for Dr. Rama, please? Yeah, so we appreciate your presentation and also the discussion,
Thank
Dr.
you
Rama.
very much.
Yes, so it's not very easy to conclude the two presentation and the discussion, but what we can observe is that there are differences and there are, of course, similarities between the conservation issues in the two countries. We don't see very much the smallholders farming, but in Indonesia, smallholders farming is probably as important as it is for the large-scale farming. We also have a very large estates, especially for pulp and also oil palm plantation. And because they are perennial and it has a no-tillage system, so in itself, it's also conserve the soil. But the hotspot in Indonesia case is not only that naturally it is high in rainfall and the mountainous landscape from flat to mountainous. So it's a natural condition, but also the management strategy, the management practices, which are in some areas too intensive on this steep slope without a proper soil conservation measure. And what we observe from Uruguay is mostly large-scale plantation, and the main base is livestock. So the grass system is pretty important. Even with the grass system, the erosion could still be high, especially during the transition time between two crops. So with that, I appreciate again to all of you, and let's give a big applause to the presenters and to all of you. And I return the mic to the MC. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Fahmuddin Agus, for leading the presentation and discussion session, and also to our speakers for the interesting presentation. And as a token of our appreciation, we will present certificate of appreciation to our distinguished moderator, to Professor Fahmuddin Agus. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the end of today's webinar, we sincerely hope that the knowledge and experiences shared during this session will contribute to advancing sustainable agricultural practices and inspire stronger international research collaboration in soil conservation and plantation systems. On behalf of the organizing committee, we would like to thank our distinguished speakers, our moderator, and all participants for making today's webinar both informative and inspiring. We look forward to welcoming you again at the next S-Corp Corner webinar series. Stay healthy, stay productive, and continue supporting science and innovation for Indonesia and the global community. I'm Andulusi Arini, your Master of Ceremony. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih, Bu Rahma, sukses.
Terima kasih.
Ya.
Selamat Rahman.
Terima kasih.
Hebat, nice presentation.
Bu Rahma.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Bye-bye.
much.
Thank you very much
for
again.
Dr.
Bye-bye.
Andres and Dr. Rahma Yustika.
Thank you, Mbak.
Congratulations, Dek Rahma. See you.